Welcome to this special edition Thanksgiving Day 3 now presented by Comerica Bank. I'm Dannie Rogers, joined by DetroitLions.com writer Tim Twentyman. We are breaking down those Chicago Bears as the Bears get ready to come to town here for Week 12. We're going to talk who is the Bears starting quarterback, a little questionable here right now. We're also going to talk no Khalil Mack. So who do you got up next? Tim, I want to start with quarterback talk. I mean, you have Justin Fields, starting quarterback, rookie, who is out with a rib injury. So up next is backup Andy Dalton. What does the status look like right now, and what do we get if we get Dalton in that starting lineup?
Yeah, you know, Chicago's dealing with what Detroit dealt with last week with this rib injury to their starter and deciding which way they're going to go, and this might lead right up into game time. But, you know, there was a report by the NFL Network late last night. It was going to be Andy Dalton, and I think really they're two very different quarterbacks when you look at them. You know, obviously the Lions faced Justin Fields in Week 4, probably one of his better games, but you know, he's got 4 touchdown passes, but he's got 8 interceptions, as you would expect from a rookie. But what he gives you is the ability to get out, you know, in space, and he's got over 300 rushing yards. So that's what he gives you. And so when you're a defense, you've got to rush like you have to control that, right? I think versus Andy Dalton, he's your pure pocket passer, right? I think he's the better passer of the two guys. He's got 3 touchdowns. He came in last week for Justin Fields and threw a 60-yard touchdown pass, a 48-yard touchdown pass. So, look, he completes over 60% of his passes. Justin Fields is under that. So they're two very different quarterbacks, and I think you have to play them very different. I'd say defensively, if it is Andy Dalton, I think you can attack him a little bit more, especially off the edges, because you don't have to be so worried about Justin, you know, getting out, and you don't have to worry, you know, Andy's not going to do that like Justin does. And so I think you could be more aggressive rushing him, but you've got to be, you know, weary down the field. Andy's going to take, I think, more of those shots and attack you that way, versus Justin's going to be multi-dimensional. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of how this plays out.
Looking at this Bears defense, we do know that they will be without outside linebacker Khalil Mack, who is undergoing a season-ending foot surgery. So no Khalil Mack, no problem, because you got Robert Quinn up there, who is creating havoc amongst quarterbacks too. What is he doing so well right now?
Everything. He's coming off 3.5 sacks against Baltimore, you know, and that's a pretty good Baltimore front. And, you know, I think as a team, Chicago had 6 sacks last week. So, like, to your point, nice little line there. No Mac, no problem, because they can still get after the quarterback. Look, they've got 31 sacks on the year. That's tied with Minnesota for the lead league. So, and look, Khalil's got 6. So it's not really all been about Khalil Mack. It's really been a collective effort. And look, Robert Quinn with those 3.5 sacks last week, now he's got 10 on the year. That's his 5th 10-sack season. So, look, he just keeps doing it at a really high level. And I think one other name here is Roquan Smith. I mean, what a terrific linebacker that guy is. 17 tackles last week. He's got 110 tackles on the year in 10 games. I think the Lions leader, Alex Anzalone, has 64. Just put that in a little bit of perspective there, just how productive that guy is. And another guy who can, from the second level, blitz, and a really good pass rusher as well. So it's not just those guys that are down linemen. Roquan Smith can get after the quarterback too. They'll blitz a lot with their secondary. And so they just do a terrific job of applying pressure. And so, look, Jared Goff, Tim Boyle, whoever it is, not really known for their mobility. So Detroit's got to be really good up front, which they have been. And you know, we should also mention, too, that for that first game in Week 4, they didn't have Taylor Decker. Mm-hmm. And so you look at the last 2 weeks with how Taylor Decker has played and how Penei Sewell has played, I think it's been one quarterback pressure between the two of them. So you've got to love the fact that you've got Taylor Decker back, you know, against a Robert Quinn and a Penei Sewell. And so that's going to help. I think that's going to be really the biggest matchup in this game is, can Detroit and that offensive line continue to play really well, protect the quarterback, and allow them, you know, to make plays in the passing game, because they have to. Like, Detroit's got 191 passing yards the last 2 weeks. That's just not good enough. And so they've got to protect whoever it is, Goff, Goff or Boyle, and they've got to make more plays in the pass game. But to do that, they've got to keep Robert Quinn and all those rushers off their quarterback. That's going to be a tough task because Chicago's really, really good rushing the passer.
And right now you have Big V Vaitai along that offensive line, who is dealing with a concussion battle. However, during Week 4, that Chicago Bears previous matchup is when Frank Ragnow, center, went down. And so you had Evan Brown stepping up, who was newer to just being thrown into the ranks of the first team rep. So now you have him comfortable, but what obstacles are there now that Big V Vaitai might be out as well?
Well, Hakeem Hicks is a pretty good player, and I know he's on the injury report too. We'll have to see what his status is, but backup center, backup guard against one of the best defensive tackles in the league, not a great matchup if you're the Detroit Lions. But I think we got to give Evan Brown a lot of credit. You step in for, Frank Ragnow is one of the top 2 centers in the league, in my opinion. And for him to step in there and you don't really notice him, right? I don't think we've said Evan Brown's name a whole lot. If you're an offensive lineman, that's a good thing, right? You just want to go completely unnoticed through the whole course of the game. And so I give him credit. He's played pretty well. And they've had some interior guys, step in and play. And that might be the case this week. We'll have to see how Big V kind of progresses through the protocol. Of course, you get the short week with something like that. As a player, if we're talking about Sunday, maybe you can get to that point. Everything's escalated when you got to have a quick turnaround for Thursday. So I think today is going to be a big day for him. If he doesn't go through the walkthrough, if he's still unable to go, it's probably looking pretty rough for him being ready to go on Thursday. But look, it's next man up, right? Yep. That's what all those guys in the offensive line talk about, and Coach Hank Fraley talks about all the time. It's just it's next man up. We've dealt with injuries. Taylor Decker missed 8 games. Frank Ragnow's missed games. I mean, they've had to patchwork this thing quite a bit through the season, and they've done a pretty good job, and so they'll just have to do it again.
I mean, the Thanksgiving Day has not been downplayed here in Detroit. The players, head coach Dan Campbell, who has played in this game, he knows how important it is. So I got to know, what's your favorite thing about watching these Lions on Thanksgiving?
We did the Dan Campbell presser yesterday, and how quickly did he roll through his key plate? I mean, that was a strong effort by him. But for Thanksgiving, it's obviously covering the team and being here. You miss out on Thanksgiving a little bit, but it's just the tradition, right? It's the parade. It doesn't matter what the record is. They usually sell the place out. It's just that family tradition of, hey, the Detroit Lions have become our tradition. We go to the game on Thanksgiving, win or lose, it doesn't matter. It's just the tradition part of it. I'm kind of old school, old time football guy, and I just like that tradition part of it. It's like the Rose Bowl, right? In the Big Ten, there's something about the Rose Bowl. If you're Midwest and Big Ten, I think there's something about the Lions on Thanksgiving too. It's the tradition of it.
Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State. You're just kind of like bringing it all. Okay.
We're
not going to touch.
I'll lead you in there a little bit. This is a big week for you.
It's huge.
You've got first Thanksgiving with the Lions, and you've got Michigan, Ohio State or is it that team to the south, or is it?
It's that team down south.
There you go. Yeah. And so this is a big week for you.
It's huge. Yeah, I'm excited. All right. Big thanks to Tim Twentyman, DetroitLions.com writer, for joining me here on this edition of 3 and Out. Lions versus Bears coming up this Thanksgiving Day.